Let me tell you something about the market that most traders will never understand, no matter how many charts they study or how sophisticated their indicators become. I've made fortunes and lost fortunes. I've stood at the top of Wall Street with millions in my pocket, and I've crawled back from bankruptcy more times than most men would care to admit. Through all of it, through every boom and every crash, I learned one truth that separates the professionals from the gamblers. The market doesn't care about your indicators, your charts, or your analysis. The market only responds to one thing, and that thing is you. Your mind, your emotional state, your ability to think clearly when everyone around you is losing their heads. That's what determines whether you walk away with profits or losses. I'm not talking about some mystical nonsense or positive thinking garbage. I'm talking about something far more practical, far more powerful. I'm talking about a technique I developed after years of painful lessons. A mental reset that takes 3 minutes and has saved me more money than any technical pattern or moving average ever could. You see, the problem with most traders isn't that they don't know enough. Hell, the problem is they know too much. They've got their screens filled with indicators, each one contradicting the other. They've got MACD saying buy, RSI saying sell, Bollinger Bands doing God knows what, and their head is spinning trying to make sense of it all. Meanwhile, the market is moving, and they're paralyzed, frozen, unable to pull the trigger because they're waiting for that perfect alignment of signals that never comes. I learned early in my career that the human mind wasn't designed for trading. Think about it. We evolved to survive in the wilderness, to react quickly to immediate threats, to remember past dangers and avoid them. Those instincts served us well when we were hunting and gathering, but they're poison in the market. The market punishes every natural instinct you have. It rewards you for doing what feels wrong and destroys you for doing what feels right. When a stock is plummeting and everyone is selling, every fiber of your being screams at you to join them, to get out before it gets worse. But that's often exactly when you should be buying. When a stock is soaring and everyone is euphoric, your brain floods with dopamine, telling you to jump in before you miss out. But that's usually when you should be selling or staying out entirely. The market is a psychological battlefield, and your own mind is often your worst enemy. That's why I developed what I call the 3-minute reset. It's not meditation, though it shares some similarities. It's not positive affirmations or visualization, though those have their place. It's a systematic process of clearing away the noise, the emotion, the bias, and getting back to what I call the trading state. The trading state is where you're calm but alert, detached but focused, ready to act but patient enough to wait. It's the mental equivalent of a clean workspace. You wouldn't try to do precision work on a cluttered desk, so why would you try to make precision trades with a cluttered mind? I discovered this technique the hard way. Back in 1907, I was riding high. I'd made a killing shorting the market during the panic, and I felt invincible. My ego was bigger than my bank account, and that's saying something. I walked into the market every day thinking I could do no wrong. Every win confirmed my genius. Every loss was just bad luck or market manipulation. I wasn't trading anymore. I was gambling, convinced that the rules didn't apply to me. Then came a series of trades that humbled me like nothing before. I got caught on the wrong side of a cotton corner. I held positions too long because I was sure I was right, even as the market screamed at me that I was wrong. I added to losing positions, convinced the market would eventually see things my way. Within weeks, I'd given back a substantial portion of my gains, not because I didn't know how to trade, but because my mind was clouded. My ego had taken over, and I couldn't see clearly anymore. That's when I realized something profound. The market doesn't care who you are or how smart you think you are. The market doesn't care about your past wins or your reputation. The market is completely indifferent to your existence. It's going to do what it's going to do, and your only job is to read it correctly and respond appropriately. But you can't do that if your mind is full of ego, fear, regret, or greed. So I started experimenting. I'd take a break from the trading floor, find a quiet spot, and try to clear my head. At first, it didn't work. My mind would race with thoughts about positions, about money lost, about opportunities missed. But gradually, I developed a process, a systematic way of resetting my mental state that I could do anywhere, anytime in just 3 minutes. The first step is what I call the acknowledgment. You sit down, close your eyes if you can, and you acknowledge every emotion you're feeling without judgment. Are you anxious about a position? Acknowledge it. Are you euphoric about a winner? Acknowledge it. Are you frustrated that you missed a move? Acknowledge it. The key is not to push these feelings away or pretend they don't exist. That just makes them stronger. Instead, you observe them like you're watching clouds pass in the sky. There's that anxiety. There's that greed. There's that fear. You name them. You recognize them. And then you let them be. Most traders try to fight their emotions. They tell themselves to stay calm, to not be afraid, to be confident. But that's like trying to stop a river by standing in front of it. It doesn't work. The emotions just build up pressure until they explode in a moment of poor decision-making. Instead, you acknowledge them. You say, yes, I'm feeling this and that's okay. It's natural, but it's not going to control my decisions. The second step is the separation. This is where you deliberately create distance between yourself and your positions. You remind yourself that you are not your trades. A losing trade doesn't make you a loser. A winning trade doesn't make you a genius. They're just trades, data points. The market moved one way or another, and you made a decision based on the information you had. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. This separation is crucial because most traders get emotionally attached to their positions. They fall in love with a stock, or they develop a personal vendetta against the market. I've seen traders hold losing positions for months, watching them bleed, simply because selling would mean admitting they were wrong. Their ego won't let them take the loss. I've done it myself more times than I care to admit. During this separation phase, I literally visualize myself stepping back from the trading desk. In my mind, I see myself walking away from my positions, from my account balance, from my profit and loss statement. I imagine looking at it all from a distance, like I'm observing someone else's trades. This mental trick creates emotional distance. It allows you to see things more objectively. When you're too close to something, you can't see it clearly. You need perspective, and the separation phase gives you that. The third and final step is what I call the realignment. This is where you reconnect with your trading principles, your rules, your strategy, not just intellectually, but emotionally. You remind yourself why you have these rules. You remember the lessons that taught you these principles. You visualize yourself trading according to your plan, following your system, staying disciplined. For me, the realignment means going back to my core beliefs about the market. The trend is your friend until it isn't. Cut your losses short and let your profits run. The market will tell you when you're wrong if you're willing to listen. These aren't just clever sayings. They're truths I've learned through hard experience, truths that cost me fortunes to discover. In the realignment phase, I reconnect with these truths on a deep level. The entire process takes 3 minutes, maybe 4 if you're particularly wound up, but the effect is remarkable. You go from being reactive and emotional to being responsive and rational. Your mind clears, the noise fades, and suddenly, you can see the market for what it is, not what you want it to be or fear it might be. You can see the actual price action, the actual trends, the actual signals, without all the emotional distortion. Now, here's what's interesting. Once I started doing this reset regularly, my trading transformed. Not overnight, but gradually and consistently. I found myself making fewer impulsive trades. I stopped chasing moves that had already happened. I became more patient, waiting for the right setups instead of forcing trades out of boredom or anxiety. Most importantly, I started cutting my losses faster and letting my winners run longer. The market hasn't changed. It's the same chaotic, unpredictable beast it's always been. But my relationship with it changed. I stopped trying to conquer it or outsmart it. I started working with it, flowing with it, responding to what it was actually doing rather than what I hoped or feared it would do. And that made all the difference. Let me give you a concrete example. In 1909, I was watching Union Pacific. The stock had been in a strong uptrend for months, and I'd built a substantial long position. But then something changed. The volume started drying up. The daily advances became smaller. The stock was still making new highs, but barely. Every instinct I had told me something was wrong, but I didn't want to believe it. I'd made good money on this position, and I wanted to make more. I was getting greedy. One morning, I felt that familiar tension in my chest, that anxiety that comes when you know you should do something but you're afraid to do it. Instead of ignoring it like I used to, I stepped away from the desk. I went to my office, closed the door, and did my 3-minute reset. I acknowledged my greed. I acknowledged my fear of missing out on more profits. I acknowledged my attachment to being right about this stock. Then I separated. I visualized myself as an outside observer looking at this position objectively. And finally, I realigned with my principles. What do my rules say? When the character of the market changes, respect it. When volume dries up at new highs, be cautious. When your gut tells you something's wrong, listen. I opened my eyes, walked back to the trading desk, and sold half my position. Just like that. No drama, no internal conflict. The clarity was absolute. 2 days later, Union Pacific started dropping. Within a week, it had given back most of its gains. Because I'd done that reset, because I'd cleared my mind and reconnected with my principles, I saved myself from a significant loss. More importantly, I preserved my capital for the next opportunity. That's what this reset does. It doesn't predict the market. It doesn't give you magical insight into what's going to happen next. What it does is clear away all the psychological garbage that prevents you from seeing what's already there. The market is always communicating. It's always sending signals through price action, volume, and trend. But most traders can't hear it because their minds are too noisy. Think about it like this. Imagine trying to listen to a quiet conversation in a crowded, noisy room. You might catch a word here or there, but you miss most of it. Now, imagine that same conversation in a quiet room. Suddenly, you can hear every word clearly. That's what the reset does. It quiets your mental room so you can hear what the market is actually saying. The beautiful thing about this technique is that it's simple. You don't need any special equipment. You don't need to go anywhere or do anything elaborate. You can do it at your desk, in your car, even in a bathroom stall if that's the only privacy you can find. 3 minutes. That's all it takes to reset your mental state and get back to clear thinking. But here's the catch, and this is important. Like anything worthwhile, this technique requires practice. The first time you try it, you might not feel much difference. Your mind might wander. The emotions might not quiet down. That's normal. Your brain has spent years developing certain patterns, certain ways of responding to stress and uncertainty. You're not going to undo all of that in one 3-minute session. But if you practice it regularly, if you make it a habit, something remarkable happens. Your brain starts to learn. It starts to recognize the pattern. Eventually, just sitting down and closing your eyes triggers the reset. Your mind knows what's coming and begins to calm automatically. The acknowledgment phase becomes faster. The separation happens more easily. The realignment feels natural and effortless. I started doing this reset multiple times a day. Before the market opened, I'd do it to clear away any overnight anxieties or preconceptions. In the middle of the day, especially after a big move or a significant trade, I'd do it to reset my emotional state. After the market closed, I'd do it one last time to process the day's events and prepare for tomorrow. It became as natural as breathing, and just as essential. And here's something most traders never consider. The benefits extend beyond just making better trading decisions. This reset technique improves your overall mental health and well-being. Trading is stressful. It takes a toll on your nervous system, your sleep, your relationships. By regularly clearing away emotional buildup, by creating space between yourself and the constant pressure of the market, you become more resilient. You sleep better. You're more present with your family. You enjoy life more. I've known traders who made money but were miserable. They were constantly stressed, constantly worried, constantly battling their emotions. They might have had profitable accounts, but they were paying for it with their health and happiness. That's not success. That's just a different kind of failure. The 3-minute reset changed that for me. It allowed me to trade with intensity and focus when I needed to, but then to let it go when the market closed. I wasn't carrying positions home in my head anymore. I wasn't lying awake at night replaying trades or worrying about tomorrow. I could be fully present as a trader during market hours and fully present as a human being the rest of the time. That balance, that ability to compartmentalize effectively, is worth more than any trading strategy or indicator system. Now, I want to address something that I know some of you are thinking. You're wondering if this is really necessary. You're thinking, maybe this works for some people, but I'm different. I can handle the pressure. I don't get emotional about my trades. Let me tell you something with absolute certainty. You're lying to yourself. Every trader is emotional. Every single one. The difference between successful traders and unsuccessful ones isn't that the successful ones don't feel emotions. It's that they've learned to manage those emotions, to work with them rather than being controlled by them. I learned this lesson the hardest way possible. There was a period in my life when I thought I was beyond all this psychology stuff. I'd been trading for years. I'd made millions. I considered myself a master of the craft. And then, in 1917, I lost everything. Not because the market changed, not because my strategies stopped working, but because I stopped managing my mental state. I got complacent. I stopped doing the things that had made me successful. I let my ego take over, and my ego bankrupted me. Sitting in that hotel room with almost nothing to my name, I realized something profound. The market is a mirror. It reflects back at you whatever you bring to it. If you bring fear, it will give you more reasons to be afraid. If you bring greed, it will tempt you into disastrous decisions. If you bring ego, it will humble you. But if you bring clarity, discipline, and emotional balance, it will reward you. Not every time, not on every trade, but consistently over time. That's when I committed to never again neglecting my mental preparation. The 3-minute reset became non-negotiable. Rain or shine, winning or losing, I did it. And slowly, painstakingly, I rebuilt my fortune. But more than that, I rebuilt my relationship with trading. I rediscovered the joy of reading the market correctly, of executing a plan flawlessly, of staying patient when patience was required and acting decisively when action was called for. Here's what I want you to understand. This reset isn't a magic pill. It won't make you instantly profitable if you don't have a sound trading strategy. It won't overcome fundamental ignorance about how markets work. What it will do is maximize whatever skills you already have. If you're a decent trader with good strategies but inconsistent results, this reset can make you consistent. If you're a good trader who occasionally has catastrophic losses due to emotional decisions, this reset can prevent those disasters. If you're a great trader who wants to become elite, this reset can give you that extra edge. The best traders in the world aren't the ones with the most complex systems or the most advanced technology. They're the ones with the best psychological control. They're the ones who can stay calm in chaos, patient in opportunity, and disciplined in the face of temptation. They're the ones who have mastered themselves before trying to master the market. And that mastery begins with something as simple as a 3-minute mental reset. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this, step by step, so you can start implementing it immediately. But first, I need you to make a commitment. Don't try this once and expect miracles. Don't do it for a week and then give up because you don't see immediate results. Commit to doing this reset at least twice a day for 30 days, morning before you trade, and evening after you're done. That's it. 60 resets over 30 days. Give it that chance, and I promise you, you'll see a difference. Here's the complete process. Find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted for 3 to 4 minutes. Sit comfortably, feet flat on the floor, hands resting in your lap. Close your eyes or lower your gaze. Take 3 deep breaths, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Just focus on the breathing for these first 3 breaths. This signals to your body that you're transitioning from action mode to reflection mode. Now begin the acknowledgment phase. Scan your internal landscape. What emotions are present? Don't judge them. Don't try to change them. Just notice them. Are you anxious? Say to yourself, I notice anxiety. Are you excited? I notice excitement. Are you frustrated, angry, greedy, fearful, confident, cocky? Whatever it is, acknowledge it. Spend about 60 seconds doing this. You're not trying to feel these emotions more intensely or make them go away. You're just observing them, like a scientist observing data. Next, move into the separation phase. Visualize yourself stepping back from your trading desk. In your mind, see yourself from a distance, as if you're watching yourself on a screen. See your positions, your charts, your account balance, all of it. But from this observer's perspective, say to yourself, these are just trades. They don't define me. I'm separate from my results. A winning trade doesn't make me a winner, and a losing trade doesn't make me a loser. I'm simply a trader executing a strategy. Spend about 60 to 90 seconds here, really feeling that separation, that emotional distance. Finally, enter the realignment phase. Bring to mind your core trading principles, whatever they are for you. For me, it's things like respect the trend, cut losses quickly, let winners run. The market is always right. Trade your plan, not your emotions. Think about these principles not just as words, but as lived truths. Remember a time when following them saved you or made you money. Remember a time when ignoring them cost you. Feel the wisdom in these principles. Commit to honoring them in your next trading session. Spend the final 60 to 90 seconds here. Then take 3 more deep breaths. Open your eyes and return to your trading or your day. The entire process takes 3 minutes, maybe 4 when you're learning it. But the clarity it provides, the emotional balance it creates, is worth infinitely more than the time invested. I've given you something today that took me decades to develop and refine. A tool that has saved me more money than I can calculate and prevented more disasters than I can count. But the tool is useless unless you use it. Knowledge without application is just entertainment. So here's my challenge to you. Start today. Right now, after you finish watching this, do your first 3-minute reset. Don't wait for the perfect time or until you're feeling emotional. Just do it. Make it a practice, not a reaction to crisis. And remember, the market will always be there. It's been here for hundreds of years, and it'll be here long after we're gone. But your time, your capital, your mental health, these are finite resources. Protect them, invest in them, master your mind, and the market mastery will follow. I want you to leave a comment below telling me what emotions came up during your first reset. Share your experience with this community. And if you found this valuable, go watch the other videos on our channel where I share more hard-won lessons from my years in the market. These aren't theories or academic ideas. This is wisdom earned through triumph and disaster, through millions made and lost. Every video contains insights that can save you years of painful learning. The greatest trader isn't the one who makes the most money on a single trade. It's the one who stays in the game long enough to compound their edge, day after day, year after year. And you can't stay in the game if your mind is working against you. Master this reset. Make it as automatic as breathing. And watch what happens to your trading, your results, and your life. The market is waiting. But more importantly, the best version of yourself as a trader is waiting. The version that trades with clarity, discipline, and emotional balance. That version is already inside you. The 3-minute reset is just the key to unlock it. Now go use it.